Hello everyone, this is Yuti Doshi from One Mantra Mental Health. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Stories. Today we have with us Man Sharma. He is a teenager from Mumbai and he has recently cleared his class 10. So congratulations Man for the
Thank
same.
you.
And the reason today I've invited him is because you must have seen my posts about teenage mental health, and we have spoken about this topic previously with Dr. Rahul as well. So today I want to know from a teenager's perspective about mental health issues. So over to you, Man. Please tell us something about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Man Sharma from class. I'm currently in class 11. I'm 16 years old. I have known Miss Yuti for a very long time. She's helped me a lot through many things in my life, and she has made me aware of the importance of mental health, a good mental health, and she has encouraged me to make it a fact to always make your mental health a priority in life. And anything else?
Thank you so much, Man. So the reason I have called you today is to know from you why is mental health so important, especially at this age when you are at school and you are in a transitioning stage where you are about to leave school, go to a new world. So what exactly goes on, and how do you feel that change?
Okay. So from my experience, because in when I was in school, you were luckily there to help me out, and I thankfully I reached out to you. What I was personally going through was building up a lot of the things that are going on. For example, even though I'm having the slightest possible problem, I'll build it up, but then something else will come up, and you keep pressuring that inside, and eventually you'll, if this is a metaphor you've taught me, if you keep forcing something into a bottle, the bottle will eventually overflow. That I've really taken a lot from that metaphor, that if I don't eventually like talk about the things that are bottling up, it will come and bite me back. So I so what happened is, in the start, is like I was having the smallest possible problem you can think of thinking of, like, oh my god, I can't finish this particular assignment. I start worrying about that assignment and forget about other assignments. This circle eventually, it'll come and like affect me in the end. Similarly, later on, as you go on, now it's a very common thing. Teenagers always have some kind of thing going on in their life. Let it be about friends, it can be about your parents. You might be having an argument with someone. So it was about that. I was having issues talking to a lot of people, just in general, not being able to communicate well with people, having a lot of arguments. And in ninth, my schedule for studying was a very repetitive pattern, and it wasn't the most comfortable to deal with, because I would have to get up at 6 in the morning. And as a person who had never gotten up at 6 in the morning just to go and study somewhere and then go to your school, it was a very drastic change, which really messed up my entire, like, and like everything around me. I was very sick for for a major part of the year. I was in a very bad mood almost all the time. I lost my appetite. So this kind of stress from other people, that you have to do this so you ace your exams, otherwise you're a failure kind of mentality, that is there, especially in the Indian society, where you have to excel because of the competition, can really mess up a person's mind. And like, uh, I over that 1 year, the number of mental breakdowns that I have are probably nothing, like, are probably a lot compared to like other grades where I would have like a small nervous breakdown because of something.
Right. So, I understand your experience, but there are so many of your friends or anyone of your age who must have gone through these kind of pressures, and it definitely makes you all feel stressed and a lot pressured. And I think this competition or this expectation from you to perform well also uh, degrades your performance even further,
Yeah.
right? So then what do you do? And what do your friends
Um.
do? Like, just share the experience, please.
Okay.
I'm sure. Could you please explain, or could you just give an example of your friends who must have gone through any kind of breakdown just
Sure.
like
Sure.
you?
What the from what I've seen among my friends, one major stress among almost everybody in my grade was your marks and your studies. If you don't ace it, um, people will just consider you this person who just can't function in your standard, who can't like properly study. Which I mean, and then this mindset has been so like pushed into the students' minds that other students will actually start looking at this person in such a way that, oh my, are you sure you're not like bad at studies or something?
Mm.
And sometimes when now I am very open to the fact that the the term like I have a learning disorder, I don't treat it as it's like some kind of a taboo.
Mm.
You have a learning disability, okay, you there are things you can do to face it. In society, people almost shun this person like, oh my god, you have a learning disability.
Mm.
That's how they treat it, and that eventually discourages the person who is probably suffering from that. I know people with learning disabilities, and I treat them like any other I treat any other person. You're a
Right.
person. Your disability doesn't define you. And from what I've seen among my friends, it was not just this stress of studies, it was stress combined with whatever they might be dealing with their family, and then whatever you might be dealing personally with a teacher. Because we've probably seen this, teachers might act differently if your reputation just changes a little bit, or your behavioral pattern changes a little bit. um, because from my reputation has always been like this student with a very clean track record, and who will never act out. But when you go through, like, I say this very clearly, like when you're going through your teenage, you're going to change. Your personality won't be the same that you had 2 years ago.
Or 6 10. Right.
Yeah, so that is another thing. Your relatives might meet you when you were in sixth, then they come and meet you when you're in eighth grade, and you're like, "Arey beta, you've changed so much."
Right.
Of that is bound to happen.
Right. But then I think
This,
there's lot of so much of judgment from
yeah,
all sides. I think it's not only for teenagers, for everyone. We are judged from every angle, and that's something that really interferes with our functioning sometimes, right? So I want to know from you. I know there are like everyone might have a lot of opinions and suggestions and ideas, but from you, like from coming from the modern society, from Mumbai, I want to know from you what can a school or what can adults do for teenagers, especially with regards to mental health?
yeah.
Like,
So
tell me the top three things that you want,
the top three things that I would like for adults to understand about teenage mental health is one. The first thing is like just listen to us. It's just do not, because this is a thing that many people will do. You're just acting up because तुम्हें थोड़ा सा stress handle करके नहीं बन रहा है. This is a quote. This is thing that I've heard many people say. You're growing up. You're supposed to deal with this kind of stress. Now everybody's ability to deal with stress isn't equal. People will deal with stress differently. So the number one thing that I would say is just listen to us.
right?
Just hear us out. Do not try to just force your facts into it, because what you probably went through many years ago as a teenager and what we're going through is like day and night difference.
Right.
Because from that time and this time, things are very different.
Also,
Because
just listening, like if you're telling me
yeah,
something and just knowing that someone is there to listen without any judgment, without any explanations for us or instructions, because I think each and every individual knows what they are supposed to do, what they are going through, and what is the best thing for them, regardless of the age. Even a child knows what is good for him or her, right? So I think you are so right. When it comes to this, um, just hearing someone out is, I think today people listen or have a conversation to, like, so that they can reply in a certain way or give their opinion. But if we keep ourselves aside for a while and just give you a ear to hear,
Yeah.
I think that will be a lot.
It gives a sense of security.
Hmm,
It just makes you comfortable talking to that person. That's why many people say that I don't have a good relationship with my parents, or I don't have a good relationship with my teachers, because they're probably worried about being judged.
right.
And sometimes this eventually causes you to not go ahead and talk to them in the first place, and you start going to other people, or you start dealing with it in a bad way.
Right. Also,
Now that's why.
here
Yeah.
I would like to say that I completely agree with this. Uh, when their children don't feel comfortable talking to parents or teachers because of the fear of being judged, I think that's where mental health professionals might come in, and
Yeah.
you could always talk to them.
That's probably the second thing that I would like to say is always reaching out to a mental health professional, a psychologist, whatever there are many terms for it, a therapist. Always reaching out to them is the best option ever. And that is another thing that people tend to avoid, is because the term like, "Arey, this dude is mental," or "this dude is mad," "this person is crazy," that term, that stigma comes around it because you're just seeking out mental health support. And that is another thing why people tend to not uh, reach out to mental health professionals. Even I know that when I was in school, if somebody was going to the counselor, they'd be like, he's gone mad, or he's having a mental issue, he's mental." That kind of this eventually will discourage the person to reach out and for help, and it, it just won't be productive in the end. That's why that's why mental health professionals are there. They're there to help you out with your mental health issues or whatever you're dealing with. But then when the stigma comes around, they're like, "Why are you going to a mental health professional? Are you mad?" These terms come around it,
Really
which,
want to know here, Man, what all words are used, or what all kind of sentences are used among you all when a child wants to convey or communicate to a counselor.
okay, so these are not from my personal experience, because my friends were like very supportive and everything. Like, "Okay, there is something wrong. If we cannot help you, you should probably seek help professionally." So, like, other people, when I've seen them go to counselors or like mental health professionals, they're like, there are like many words that like, "You've gone mad. Have you gone mad? Are you depressed?" Even though the person might be dealing with something else, the person might be dealing with stress or like anger, and they're like, "You're depressed, you're mentally unstable,
Right.
can you not handle yourself?" Now these kind of like terms that people use, it will discourage the person to like even like reach out, or in the end they might just not be even more open to you, or they might just cut you off. That's the thing that I've seen among people, from like in my when I was in school, uh, till 10th grade. I've seen that happen many times.
And this leads students. See, not everyone is open to such kind of comments. There are people who are sensitive, and as you said, it might just shun them, and they will completely close themselves. And this kind of behavior, this kind of bullying, teasing, the stigma can lead that poor child to self-harm or negative thoughts about himself, that, oh God, I am useless, there's something wrong with me. So it's better I don't talk about anything. And then,
Yeah.
as you gave the example of bottling up, it gets bottled up even more, and then it might show up sometime in the future in a very negative way.
And from that way, you can't really like predict how they will react. Now, when I was like bottling up my stuff and not talking about it came out in like so many different ways. Some days I would just go silent, not talk to anybody, go to school, talk to one or two friends about something related, like until and unless it's absolutely necessary. Come back, use my phone, just like do not talking to anybody. I would just come in my room, sit in the corner of my bedroom, on my phone, just probably doing something to distract me from what is actually going on. Some days I would get very angry, and it causes you to lash out at people that you don't actually intend to do it. You get really pissed off at anybody for they might be actually asking you about how are you, or even the most basic things, and you might just explode on them.
Right. So that's why expressing and communicating frequently to anyone, and if that doesn't help, you can reach out to us. Right. Yes. So
And
what's
it's
the next?
not always
Hmm.
the easiest to talk about it. As I mean, if like as much as I like tell people like talk about it, it's not going to be easy. It's that one barrier that you just have to jump. You have to bite the bullet, but in the end it'll help you.
Right. And the third thing.
Third thing um third thing would probably be uh adults to not scrutinize children for I think this kind of rounds up from point one and point two. Like not talk. Many people there. This is like a thing where if teenagers are having issues they're going through, they might just be like, "This is like you're such a grown up person. You're almost becoming an adult. You shouldn't be whining. Are you a child?"
Hmm.
Basically, mocking the person to own up to their emotions.
Right. That is
The
so important. So
and
important.
many times teachers might like as much as teachers are supposed to do, many teachers understand their children, but sometimes even teachers may not understand what is happening.
And it's
And
completely, I think, normal. I mean, not each and every person is going to understand. Every adult or your favorite person who you admire is going to understand, right? I think that.
so in the end of like these 3 points, I just think uh, you just have to understand that everybody may not understand what's going around you, and that fact will take time to change. The acceptance for mental health professionals and like people seeking out therapy and like going to psychologists, it will take it has changed a lot now. If this conversation would be happening like 10 years ago, people would be like, why is he doing that? Why is he gone mad? And it would be even more hyped up, like, why is he doing that? Today, now, if people will be like, okay, this is a very good thing, they're talking about mental health, which is important.
So, what is something that you would like to tell your generation or your age group about mental health?
Okay, so even though I'm like not the most professional person to be talking about it, but I've gone to you and like talked about it a lot. Even in my school, I would talk about it very openly, and like if I would see somebody struggling, I would tell them, please seek out help. So what I have to say to people of my generation is, you may think like there is nobody that is going to help you. You may think there's no options left. You just have to deal with it. You have options left, but in case you feel like you're going to be judged for it, you have to ignore that fact. You just have to. It'll be a very difficult thing to do, to like stop thinking about what other people might think about you, but you just have to bite that bullet and go and seek mental health, because in the future, you'll when you realize how much it helped you and to what degree it like prevented your mental breakdowns and like everything that could have gone wrong, you'll actually look back at it and feel so proud that you actually went and seeked help. I feel like that every day.
That's really brave of you, Man. And I think each and every one of us need to get rid of this judgment factor. I think this happens because we judge ourselves first, you know, and
Yeah,
that's the breaking point where we need to stop judging ourselves and accept that it's okay. Like, you know, the latest quotes that are going around, they are so true. Like, it's okay to not be okay, and actually it's not
yeah.
okay, right? So yeah. And would you like to suggest any new kind of policies or just new ways of thinking about teenage mental health for adults or for schools?
Okay, so the main thing that I would like to tell schools and adults who who will be dealing with teenagers is just acceptance and going easy on them. The more you try to like force them or like pressure them out or like you know get this thing out of them, like the man up, you're an adult, or like that kind of thing, the more you do it, the more they'll like distance themselves from you. The more the teachers try to act like as if they're relatable, they know the students, they can like if the teachers just are just a bit more understanding. Now that is a very vague term to say, even though they just have to understand the students. If a child, teachers obviously realize when a child is going through something, or if if they are going, they're just dealing with something. If teachers just realize how they should communicate to that child, you have to establish a bond between you and the child. That is what I'll say. um, you just have to understand the importance of boundaries, and in what way you should try crossing those boundaries, or whether you should or shouldn't.
I think, but in schools, mostly teachers do their best, and I think uh, in India, not only particular schools, but in India, all the schools, teachers have a very big role with
Yeah,
a lot of duties, and I really appreciate their work, their hard work, and most of them try and understand their children.
yeah,
But
they do.
sometimes it is, it's not that they are not capable, but it is just that it is required for schools to have someone else taking care of the mental health part of a child.
Yeah.
That's where school counselors come in. Okay. And what do you expect from parents? Only like specifically parents.
Parents. So thankfully, my parents are they weren't like judging me for going to a counselor or seeking therapy.
Hmm.
Many parents don't understand that therapy isn't a bad thing. My parents were like, okay, you're seeking out help, it's fine. If you want to come and talk to us, we're open for a very good discussion. Many parents don't understand that. They're like, why are you going to a therapist? Are you again, it comes back to the stigma around seeking mental health.
I think the
Now parent
only most important thing would be about the stigma. I mean, for parents as
Yeah.
well, they need to become open about this idea now.
Now sometimes parents may even think that sometimes if a child is seeking mental health, the parent might interpret it as, am I doing a bad job parenting,
Right.
that the child cannot come and talk to me?
Hmm.
And in the end, you just have to establish a bond between you and the child where you can just talk about these things very openly. My mom and dad, they were very open. They're like, okay, you're seeking mental help. Are you okay? They were just like, are you okay? If you're okay doing this and you're safe, it's okay. Then if you want to come and talk to us, we're open for any discussion. So I think in the end, it's just education and awareness about mental health and its importance, because it's overlooked in almost many cases, and it's as as minute as it may seem. If this thing messes up, it almost messes with every other thing in your life.
Okay.
So if parents are going to like if parents are going to see their childs go and seek mental health professionals, they should just maintain the fact that it's okay if you're doing this, we're here to help you too. That's I think that's the main thing that they should do.
Basically, anxiety among parents needs to be addressed, and they don't need to feel insecure if their child is seeking help from somewhere else. It's okay.
Now my mom, she's also a teacher, so she also in her school, even they're told about the mental health, and it, she's talked to many counselors about the importance of mental health. So she's very open to the fact, like, okay, uh, this is what she's told me for a very long time. Just talk it out. Do not, because the more you bottle it up, it won't just like it's not just about mental breakdowns and like anxiety and depression. It will eventually start um, um, affecting your health,
Physical
because
health as well.
yeah, it will literally physically make you sick.
Hmm.
When I was going through stuff, I was bottling it up. I wasn't talking. I would get, I would start vomiting without any reason. Like I would go to sleep in the middle of the night. I would wake up all sweaty and I just puke. I would get fever. I would like stress, migraines. It's a lot of things.
So basically, from the conversation that we have had, we have, I think, now established that mental health is really important, and
It
talking
is.
about it is even important. So if you feel low, you and with compared to adults, I feel you all are at advantage because you have so many people to talk about yourself. Sometimes it's really good. So yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, Man, for sharing your experiences and
Thank you for
your
having
ideas.
me.
So this was about today's episode. We spoke about teenage mental health from the perspective of the teenager, and I'm really thankful to you for sharing your experiences. And I hope we adults can take something from this interview. So thank you so much.
Thank you.